Here are my top 8 craziest practicum moments from this entire year over my 2 sites. These are not in any particular order or anything, but my number 1 moment was at my first day at my first real site. It was the hematology lab, and this was one of my favorite moments because it was so cool getting to wear a lab coat and getting a tour of the lab and seeing all the equipment. They have so much equipment, and I didn't even have time to see it all get used and explained because the lab was just so full of everything. I also liked meeting everyone this day, and I think it was just really fun to, after working for so long, to kind of get up started at this site. I liked being there for the first day. My number 2 moment was kind of at the same site, but in a different area. Like, it was sort of a different lab, and this one was in the histology lab. It just happened to be on the first day, but I got to see how they make the slides of the tissues. So they use a ton of machines, like an embedder machine to embed the specimen in wax, a microtome to cut it super thin, and a water bath to lay out the super thin slices of the tissue to scoop up with a slide. Then after that, I like seeing the process of going in the huge staining machine. They have like little buckets of all the different colored stains for the cytoplasm. They have a different one for the nucleus, and the slide gets dipped in all of those and finally baked. So it was really cool to see that process. That's my number 2 moment. My number 3 moment of the year was also in the histology lab, and this was the one I was most nervous for, but it turned out to be a really exciting day. I got to shadow the PA for the pathologist, and she's the one who actually takes the tissue sample from the specimen cup and dyes it with all sorts of colored dyes, slices it with a scalpel, and just gets it ready to go to be made into a slide. So I really liked seeing that in person. I like this process, seeing everything that goes before the tissue goes into the formalin preservative solution before it gets made into those slides that I just explained. Moment number 4 was shadowing the cytologist, because the histology department and cytology department kind of work hand in hand, mostly because they're located so close to each other where I shadowed. So I had a really, really great day with the cytologist. We talked a lot about careers in the field, and also my favorite part was looking through his really high-tech microscope that scouted out little areas in the slide for you that might be irregular, so you could just automatically have your eyes drawn to those. One fun fact about me is I'm really horrible at using a microscope, so this kind of automatic one was really interesting to use. Moving on to the moments that happened at my second site, which was a senior living community where they always had a full physical and occupational therapy staff, a full nursing staff, and full activity staff for me to assist and shadow. So there was really never a dull moment there. And this moment was first time I got to observe one of the nurses during her med pass, what they called it, or giving out all the medications to the residents for the day. I love seeing the process of the ordering, the distribution, and the preparing of all the medicines because, you know, they have different forms, liquids, and pills and capsules. So everyone, if they have difficulty swallowing or just kind of preferences of how they take their medications, the nurses would help prepare it individually for each person. I also learned a lot about the insurance process, you know, pharmacy that they work with. They can order everything in bulk, which was something I never thought about before, but definitely makes a lot of sense. Moment number 6 also happened when I was with the senior living community, and this I got to do twice, and the actual moment that it was going on an outing to Hill Elementary School, and the residents got to talk to a kindergarten class, I think it was, and the kids were so cute and just had a bunch of questions about, you know, being an elderly person, and they read books and did games with them. It was a lot of fun to observe. Moment number 7 is a combination of all the fun things I got to do while observing and assisting the activities department. They're such a huge part of keeping the residents' mental health in good condition. So some of my favorite things I got to help with during my practicum shadowing hours, and also outside, I like to help a bit with that as well. I enjoyed going out to get donuts with them in the morning. They like to go to a ton of restaurants. I liked helping out with game night. They had kind of a casino game night that I volunteered to help with. And finally, a Halloween carnival and this kind of goes along with the Hill Elementary School visiting. We invited kids to come and play Halloween games and go trick-or-treating at the senior living community, and that was a ton of fun to volunteer at. The last crazy and epic moment of Practicum was when I got to shadow the occupational therapy staff for the first time. I had never ever had a chance to see inside an occupational therapy session, and I think it's so cool that they created all the exercises that they do catered to a resident's daily life. So some of the things I saw included going on walks around the facility to mimic kind of like a real walk to the grocery store in person. Then they had so many like step stools and color-coded apparatuses like clothespins and sports balls and balloons that they would hit with the residents and practice picking up, just like you would on an ordinary day. And I just thought that was super amazing. Again, I'd never seen a real occupational therapy session, so I thought it was so cool, and everyone was so nice as well and accommodating to me, which I loved.